So it works now. I can start. Good afternoon, and I want to present Ellen Lanemaa, is the head of the Language Center and lecturer of the ESP at the Estonian Academy of Security Sciences. Since 2011, she has been working on implementing and running the CLIL project, and she is also a project manager of an international CLIL project, and she's the co-author of an online dictionary of internal security, a qualified teacher trainer, and contributed to the starting process of mentoring in the academy. Please, Ellen.
Thank you. Hello everybody.
Hello.
I am Ellen.
And I'm Aida.
And we are from the Estonian Academy of Security Sciences and Language Center. And we are here today to tell you about our research on CLIL Experience through the Prism of Student Feedback. So our presentation is a part of a series of papers about CLIL implementation at our academy, presented by our colleagues at these conferences on innovation in language learning during the last 10 years. And here you can see a list of papers and topics we have studied about CLIL. So a few words then about the specifics of our academy language learning system. So we educate officers for the police, prison, rescue, tax and custom institutions on the level of higher and vocational education. And professional requirements are largely set by the state agencies, for example, Police and Border Guard Board, Rescue Board, etc. And of course, Estonian Qualifications Authority, and are in compliance with the qualification standards. The present CLIL paper, our practice, is the result of the close relation with professional standards of specialities at the Academy. Competency-based assessment is employed, and therefore the aforementioned professional standards are embedded in the acquired competencies of all our curricula. Our students carry a burden of succeeding in professional competencies and language for specific purposes. And it's worth mentioning that for Estonian context, such a bold experiment for CLIL in the academic environment meets both students' gratitude and also frustration. However, CLIL theorists point out the necessity of integrated learning for new generation learners focusing on immediacy.
Our foreign language instruction in higher education consists of 72 hours of general English, 144 hours of general Russian from A1 to A2 level, introduction to Russian for specific purposes, 54 or 72 hours of work-related foreign language classes on B2 level in English and B1 level in Russian. 36 hours of CLIL in Russian or English during the study period. And the vocational education includes 54 hours of general English, 108 hours of general Russian from A1 to A2 level, 30 hours of work-related foreign language classes on A2 level in Russian, and 12 hours of CLIL in Russian or English during the study period.
Content and language integrated learning was implemented at our academy in 2012. And the aim was to raise the quality and effectiveness of students' language acquisition, and CLIL seemed to be the most relevant educational approach to achieve the goals of both subject and language proficiency. At the same time, without adding any extra hours, but teaching content and language simultaneously. CLIL also serves the purpose of closely linking language learning and the professional skills of the future public servants in the field of internal security. Furthermore, CLIL was applied to help Estonian Academy of Security Sciences students reach the goals and meet the required outcomes necessary for performing their future professional duties effectively. And since the implementation of CLIL in the academic year of 2012 and 2013, today all the curricula contain at least 36 hours of CLIL classes.
In this paper, we intend to examine how students understand and perceive CLIL practices and which positive and negative aspects have emerged to improve the quality of content and language integrated learning. During the period of 2018 and 2020, the authors conducted a qualitative study based on a questionnaire survey and collected 122 responses from the students of all specialties taught at the ESS at vocational and professional higher education level. The questionnaire consists of 8 questions and covers different aspects of CLIL in the way it is applied at the academy. In order to get a deeper insight into students' perception of CLIL practice, a qualitative method was used in the current study. The questionnaire involves questions on both Russian and English language integrated classes, and it covers topics such as how students distinguish a regular language lesson from CLIL, what they like the most about integrated lessons, if students benefit from CLIL classes in terms of the acquired language and specialty knowledge, what students find unsuitable in CLIL practices, what factors prevent students from actively participating in CLIL classes, and what CLIL methods students prefer. Based on the findings of the research, it is possible to make conclusions for improving the strategy of CLIL practices, for instance, distribution of volumes of different language courses as general language, LSP, and CLIL, and about the content of CLIL practices, compliance with students' expectations with, when studying the subject and the language of the internal security specialities.
So to continue with the bit of theoretical background of the study, at the academy, CLIL and immersion elements are intertwined to some extent, while the students are expected to solve work-related cases when communicating at least with Russian and English speakers. Still, it is important to keep the focus on both language and subject equally, as it is the essence of CLIL approach. Students are rather expected to complete work-related interactive activities that acquire the new words and phrases routinely. Therefore, the elements of immersion are used in our academy's CLIL classes. So the symbiosis of several elements, which are content, language 1, mother tongue as a mediator, language 2, which is English, or language 3, Russian, and LSP, language for specific purposes. Both the specificity and complexity of CLIL practice at our academy. CLIL classes can be constructed in a bilingual, Estonian and Russian, or English, and even trilingual, Estonian, Russian, and English format. Thus, more time is spared for professional subjects, since the basis of the curriculum is the volume of special subjects. And language teaching is in constant close connection with the content. Well, simultaneously, the 4 essential elements when preparing CLIL classes, cognition, culture, content, and communication, have to be under consideration.
Which can be presented through the next 2 categories. The first is estimation of CLIL as an approach in general through comparison with regular language and subject classes. First, it should be pointed out that 13.9% of respondents did not answer the question. Though informative and lengthy responses were received from 86.1% of the respondents, the content of which generally can be divided into the three following groups of features noted by students. The first is acquisition of both the foreign language, English, Russian, English, and Russian, and language for specific purposes through a subject. Students perceive CLIL as a combined language learning and professional lesson where they can practice both English and Russian work-related situations. At the same time, it is noted that CLIL class is more real than a regular language lesson, and integrated lessons cover more different areas. The second is practicing the use of language communication. In students' opinion, the knowledge of languages is introduced better than in a regular language class or even LSP class. And the third is more dynamic, intensive pace of the lesson. CLIL provides students with brainstorming style language and subject learning, which seems to them to be more intensive and more informative.
So the second category is estimation of the positive and negative aspects of CLIL. 15.6% of respondents did not answer the question. Accordingly, 84.4% note the positive and negative options, among which the following positive options are highlighted. So involvement of all students in the process of solving cases, as you can see, 74.6%. Broad vocabulary, then opportunity for communication, feedback, well, a lot of feedback, immediate feedback, motivating feedback, and lots of freedom to solve tasks. But regarding the negative trend, the respondents have noted differences in foreign language proficiency among students in the group, also too high professional language level, that is LSP, and the lack of initial knowledge for going straight to learning professional words in formal speech. Also lack of CLIL hours, too large groups of students in the classroom, so not all cadets were able to participate actively in lessons. And tense atmosphere, so too intense pace of the lessons and other external or psychological factors, as well as inappropriate subjects for teaching it in a foreign language because it won't be useful in the future.
Back to the negative aspects, the following interfering factors are mentioned by the respondents in the CLIL. A language barrier of fear of speaking a foreign language, different levels of Russian and English proficiency among students in the partial group, weak or deficient language skills or vocabulary deficiency, lack of interest and motivation, laziness, fatigue, fear of others' opinions, and other problems related to the students' own attitudes. And the last was uncomfortable classrooms, adverse weather conditions, and other external problems.
But despite the negative factors, 90.2% of the students still consider CLIL classes beneficial. And students have noted the following positive aspects. So the opportunity to test one's skills in Russian and English, as well as knowledge of speciality. Expanding the scope of knowledge, that is clarification of the complex terminology, more professional and language knowledge, improving professional and language knowledge, as well as various types of educational activities to develop one's language skills and professional knowledge synchronously. Extremely practical hands-on training is also pointed out, using foreign languages in a work-related situation and completing tasks in both languages, English and Russian. And also gaining confidence in using English and Russian, including overcoming the language barrier.
The analysis of the participants' feedback shows that CLIL enhances students' motivation, acquisition of both foreign language and specialty competency. It's important to avoid all the negative language and that hinder effective language, and subject learning, which will later to be considered in order to improve the quality of learning and intensify the learning process, as well as to find more effective and students-friendly learning environments. The main challenge mentioned by the respondents is an insurmountable language barrier, a lack of general language skills to acquire professional terminology, and the efficiency of motivation. The obtained empirical data allows us to revise the content and strategy of CLIL practices in order to facilitate students' language and content learning process, to increase the volume of general language at levels of A1 to B1, more spontaneous language activities, etc.
So, CLIL in the nearest future, what's next? The feedback on students' perception and understanding of CLIL was received before the COVID-19 pandemic, and therefore it reflects students' experience of CLIL in face-to-face instruction. Thus, as a follow-up to this study, a research on students' perception, experience, and attitude towards digital CLIL is recommended. Namely, it would be advisable to study how CLIL has adapted to the change due to the pandemic, and how CLIL has adjusted itself to new ways of contact learning, that is, blended learning, flexible learning, or online environment. It would be rather complicated to create an online authentic learning environment, for example, a corresponding work-related situation, like proceeding border crossing cases or carrying out procedures in cases of traffic offenses, and enable every student to practice online. Perhaps in the future, online CLIL appears, or is it already here? Could it be possible to compile online CLIL classes and receive similar feedback, or even harm the effectiveness of constant language learning? What are the questions that have arisen due to the pandemic? Considering the current situation with a digital-oriented trend in education, it seems to be necessary to recognize that in relation to the implementation of CLIL, we are still facing the necessity to specify the concept of CLIL and its boundaries, as CLIL Experience at the Estonian Academy of Security Sciences somewhat extends the traditional CLIL methodological framework. So can it be claimed that CLIL is a flexible and adaptable method, or is it rather a new hybrid approach? Well, these are questions and these are coming here. And now, instead of we would like to invite all of you to discuss these questions, and we are sincerely interested in opinion and ideas about CLIL in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And here is the list of references we suggest to read.
Okay. Are there some questions? Any questions?